Thousands of years ago, the Jewish nation was created with a spark that has guided us ever since. Following the destruction of the temple and the Babylonian exile, we wandered among the nations, built communities, and created lives. Finally, we answered the call to return to Zion. Theodor Herzl, who convened the first Zionist Congress in 1897, turned the spark into a flame. It took time and many hardships, but with support from Jews around the world, through the World Zionist Organization, the Jewish Agency, Keren HaYesod, and the Jewish Federations of North America, the Jewish people established a state in Israel, reviving it as a homeland for all Jews.
אנו מכריזים בזאת על הקמת מדינה יהודית בארץ ישראל, היא מדינת ישראל.
מודיעה בתדהמה על מותו של ראש הממשלה ושר הביטחון יצחק רבין.
The same spark that illuminated our path thousands of years ago continues to guide us throughout the existence of the State of Israel. And it will continue to shine and brighten our future, for we are one. Say it with me. One past, one future, one people.
Thank you to the orchestra. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on stage Chairman of the World Zionist Organization, Mr. Yaakov Haguel, Chair of the Board of Trustees of the Jewish Federations of North America, Mrs. Julie Platt, Chairman of the Executive of the Jewish Agency for Israel, Mr. Doron Almog, and Keren Hayesod's leaders, Mr. Stephen Lowy, Chairman of our World Board of Trustees, and World Chairman, Mr. Sam Grundweg.
Good evening and welcome everyone. ערב טוב, ברוכים הבאים לערב היסטורי, ערב שמאחד על במה אחת, בפעם הראשונה, את מנהיגי העולם היהודי מארבע קצוות תבל, שהגיעו לכאן כדי לחגוג יחד 75 שנים לנס שנקרא מדינת ישראל. אבל כשאני חושב על זה, אולי זו לא הפעם הראשונה. הרי גם בבאזל, ב-1897, התכנסו מנהיגים יהודיים מכל רחבי העולם, בקונגרס היהודי הראשון. הוא הקונגרס הציוני, בו התרחשה תחייה מחודשת של העם היהודי. הביחד הזה לא מקרי. דברים טובים קורים כשכולנו יחד, על במה אחת, חולמים, מגשימים, נזכרים בעבר ומדמיינים את העתיד.
Tonight is an extraordinary gathering of 2,000 of the most committed leaders of our organizations, the Jewish Agency for Israel, World Zionist Organization, Keren Hayesod, and Jewish Federations of North America. We are representing the entirety of global Jewry and Friends of Israel around the world. We all share an unbreakable bond with the State of Israel, and united, we will withstand any internal or external threat to our people.
We have all been engulfed in the important and passionate public debate about Israel's very structure that has brought us all the way back to the Declaration of Independence 75 years ago. These debates exposed how fragile our unity can be and how hard one needs to work to maintain it. Recent events also emphasized how robust Israeli democracy is.
This debate did not stay in Israel, but traveled throughout the global Jewish community. Regardless of the different positions and opinions we may have, what is clear is how passionate we all are about Israel and how central Israel is to our lives. Its struggles are our struggles. Its success is our success. And its debates are our debates. To the leaders of Israel, including those attending tonight, we stand united in our support of dialogue and broad consensus based on mutual respect. To the protesters exercising their democratic rights, we see you, we hear you, and we are inspired. And we are inspired by your love of Israel.
And although times are challenging, our answer is dafka. It is because of these factors that it is even more important that we join our hands and our voices as one people. Jews from Australia, North America, South America, Europe, Africa, Asia, and Israel, to say that we are here to express gratitude for all the blessings that have been bestowed upon this great country and our people, and to celebrate the courage, heroism, and generosity that have brought us to this moment. This is an occasion to come together as a people now more than ever.
The Jewish Agency for Israel served as the government of Israel prior to the birth of the state. For 94 years, we have been connecting the Jewish people to Israel and to one another. Working with our partners, we have brought 3.5 million new Olim to build their lives here in Israel. We built the infrastructure of the State of Israel and continue to strengthen Israel and Israelis. Since 1929, we serve as the organization dealing with the greatest global challenge facing the Jewish people. On the ground, in 66 countries, our work touched millions of lives in Israel and around the world.
בימים אלו מציינת ההסתדרות הציונית העולמית 125 שנים. היא נוסדה בקונגרס הציוני הראשון בבאזל, בהנהגתו של בנימין זאב הרצל תיאודור עצמו. מאז ועד היום פעלנו, ואנחנו פועלים ללא הפסקה, בתחילה כדי לאחד את העולם היהודי תחת הרעיון הציוני, להקים את המדינה ולהגשים את החזון, ובהמשך לתמוך בצמיחה ובגדילה של המדינה. אנו עומדים בחוד החנית לחינוך וזהות יהודית, התיישבות לאורכה ולרוחבה של ישראל, עידוד עלייה ומאות מורים שליחים ישראלים ציונים הפזורים בבתי הספר היהודיים בעולם כולו. ההסתדרות הציונית העולמית היא פסיפס של העם היהודי שמגלם בתוכו את הסיפור הציוני של כולנו.
קרן היסוד is 103 years old, with representation in some 45 countries, speaking 9 languages. We were founded to raise funds to lay the groundwork for a Jewish homeland. Today, we proudly continue that work, together with our partners, to advance the state of Israel and Israeli society. Our emphasis is on connecting Jews and friends of Israel in the diaspora with Israel, strengthening weaker communities, and encouraging and facilitating Aliyah and Klita. We look no further than the urgent humanitarian work we've done for Ukrainian and Russian Jewry.
The 146 Jewish federations of North America represent every Jewish community in the United States and Canada. Federations have been leading our communities for over 100 years. We supported the creation of the State of Israel and every significant development in its history through our leadership, our fundraising, and our involvement in civil society at home and abroad. Our names are on thousands of buildings all across the state of Israel, from preschools to hospitals and more. We bring our children, grandchildren, parents, and friends here, and we are always here to support and celebrate our beloved state of Israel.
Due to a family simcha, Mark Wilt, the chair of the Board of Governors of the Jewish Agency for Israel, is unable to be here in person tonight, but would like to share a message.
I am so moved that in just a few days I will be celebrating our country's 75th birthday with all of you in Israel. Tonight is a celebration of all we have accomplished working together for so many years. Together, we have rescued Jewish people from danger. We've enabled young Jewish people to connect to Israel, and we continue to come together as a people despite our differences. Am Yisrael Chai.
This session is the conclusion of the special meeting of the Board of Governors of the Jewish Agency for Israel, the most representative board in the Jewish world. Our members speak on behalf of Jewish communities from around the world, from all different backgrounds, religious practice, and political leanings. We may not always agree, but we can always agree to be one people working together for a common goal. Together we are here to celebrate Israel's 75th birthday. Mazal Tov!
ביום שישי האחרון נעלנו את הקונגרס הציוני העולמי המיוחד, שהתכנס בנוכחות כ2,000 מנהיגים מרחבי העולם, כדי לחגוג 75 שנה לעצמאותה של ישראל. בקונגרס זה, במשך 3 ימים, דנו בחיזוק הקשר בין חלקי העם היהודי ובאתגרים בפניהם כולנו עומדים. המצב בחברה הישראלית מחייב את כולנו לזכור שאחים אנחנו, לא משנה מהיכן הגענו, וכזהו הקונגרס הציוני, הוא הפרלמנט היהודי הכלל העולמי, שמגשים את חזונו של הרצל, ליצור כאן, בישראל, חברת מופת אמיתית. יחד נמשיך להאמין, לחלום ולהגשים למען עם ישראל כולו.
This session is the beginning of our Keren Yesod annual World Conference, bringing together generous and committed leaders from around the world who are here in Israel to experience and see the impact of our work on the ground and to celebrate all that we have helped to accomplish in our beloved state of Israel.
This session is the opening of our special Israel at 75 General Assembly, moved from its normal fall schedule to these days in April, so we can be part of Israel's history and its present on this Yom HaZikaron and Yom HaAtzmaut. At this General Assembly, we will focus on innovation, strengthening Israeli society, connecting Israel to the diaspora, and driving global change. We will not only reflect on what 75 years means, but we will look forward to the next 25 years to be in a position to continue the path of progress and prosperity.
And so we join tonight in gratitude.
We join tonight in thanks.
We join tonight in prayer.
And we join tonight in unity.
We join hands in blessing.
שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
אמן.
And now, please welcome our host, top Israeli anchorwoman, Tamar Shalom.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, leaders, for your inspiring words. I'm honored to be here and host this extraordinary event. With us this evening, the President of the State of Israel, His Excellency, Mr. Yitzhak Herzog, and the First Lady, Ms. Michal Herzog. Minister of Diaspora Affairs, Amichai Shikli, and Deputy Ambassador of the Kingdom of Bahrain, Abdelkarim El Ansari. Good evening, leaders of Keren Yesod, the Jewish Federations of North America, World Zionist Organization, the Jewish Agency for Israel, and to all the distinguished dignitaries and guests who have joined us from Israel and abroad on this special occasion. Tonight marks a historic gathering of our worldwide Jewish community that has come together from all four corners of the globe for the first time. It is a rare and precious opportunity to brainstorm, define common goals, share opinions, and enjoy each other's company. I am glad to be here with you tonight to celebrate Israel's 75th anniversary on this special evening. Everyone here in the audience tonight has been working relentlessly to strengthen Israel as the Jewish people's home and the bonds that connect Israeli Jews and Jews in the diaspora. Each of you is making a difference and impacting our lives here and around the world. And so, we find ourselves at the historical crossroads of several major conventions this week to mark Israel's 75th anniversary, Yom HaZikaron and Yom HaAtzma'ut. Tonight, we invite you to lift up the vital work of all four organizations, meet people whose lives were forever changed by it, sing with the IDF's entertainment troupe, and imagine the next 75 years together. It is my honor to invite the President of the State of Israel, His Excellency Mr. Yitzhak Herzog, to address the audience.
Shalom, shalom, dear sisters and brothers. Bruchim habayim. I want to welcome my good friend, Minister of Diaspora Affairs, Amichai Shikli, Chair of the Executive of the Jewish Agency for Israel, General Doron Almog, Chair of the Executive of the World Zionist Organization, Yaakov Chaguel, Chair of the Board of the Jewish Federations of North America, Julie Platt, President and CEO of the Jewish Federations of North America, Eric Fingerhut, Chair of the Board of Trustees of Keren Yesod, Stephen Lowy, World Chair of Keren Yesod, Sam Grundwerk, leaders of Jewish communities and federations and organizations from all over the world. Bruchim habayim, distinguished guests. Hine ma tov u'ma na'im, shevet achim gam yachad. How good and pleasant it is to be amongst brothers and sisters, to be stepping into this remarkable moment where we have gathered together from across our Jewish diaspora to celebrate a momentous milestone for our nations, 75 years of our beloved state of Israel. Mazal Tov Israel. There is so much to celebrate. Hanging in the balance between life and death in the War of Independence in 1948, we survived. On the ashes of the greatest tragedy in our people's history, the Shoah, we rose up again with the unbeatable spirit that defines our people. And last week, by the way, Michal and I attended a very moving ceremony in Warsaw to mark 80 years to the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. Standing with me were President of Germany and President of Poland, and I was thinking to myself, what had these young warriors, brave warriors who knew they had no chance, had they ever imagined that 80 years later, the President of the Jewish state will be standing there with the President of Germany and the President of Poland? We have over 75 years cultivated a thriving center of Jewish and Israeli life that is creative, warm, bold, and innovative. We have woven a rich and beautiful human tapestry. We've built an army, a people's army, which brings people together from every walk of life to protect our nation and amongst them, hundreds of lone soldiers who choose to hear the calling from around the Jewish world and come to Israel without their families to defend our nation. We thank them. We have blossomed across so many fields, and we've harnessed our creative power and entrepreneurial spirit to be a force of good in the world, bringing ourselves to the front lines of solutions to the most pressing needs of the universe. The Jewish people throughout the globe, our Jewish diaspora from all over the world, of course the biggest one being the North American Jewish communities, has contributed immensely to this nation-building project that is Israel. And it has been nourishing for both sides. For decades, Israel has been a source of inspiration and identity to Jews everywhere, while global Jewry has been there for Israel from the beginning with endless love, devotion, loyalty, and commitment. The global Zionist organizations that are our hosts this evening, the World Zionist Organization, the Jewish Agency for Israel, the Jewish Federations of North America, and Keren Hayesod, a family which I've grown to love and respect and had the greatest honor to serve, have been remarkable partners in empowering this ongoing relationship and in building this country. And we say, Toda Rabah. It is a powerful and strong partnership which has quite simply changed the world. And I'm overwhelmed with appreciation and admiration. I applaud these organizations and their leadership now and over the years, and I applaud all of you, each and every one of you, that you've come here tonight. You are a powerful and impressive collective, and I know you're capable of pretty much everything. You have so much to be proud of, and I thank you wholeheartedly. But friends, within the abundance of our gifts, we can also acknowledge that there are some concerning trends in our peoplehood, trends that cast a shadow on our joint future. We recognize them not to lament our fate or to be critical or blaming or despairing, on the contrary, but simply as a first measure in responding to these challenges. This is what we do in healthy families, and this is what we'll do in healthy nations. The fact is that between our Jewish communities and between them and the State of Israel, we are growing at times more distant from one another. The gaps between us are growing wider. On some of the most essential questions, we are unable to agree. But more concerning, often we are unable even to discuss. That critical web of connectedness, that sense of shared purpose and destiny that has sustained our people for millennia may be loosening a bit. Growing numbers of Jews are choosing either stricter affiliations or no affiliations at all. And for many in the next generation, Israel has not been as accessible and as a binding thread that has united our people throughout the turbulent changes of the previous century. Along with that, the failures of the global political culture, at times shallow, superficial discourse, are evident also within our Jewish people as well. Our echo chambers are growing louder and more narrow, and our ability to see each other, to hear each other, to make contact beyond ourselves seems to be weakening. While the hold of our story loosens, our chances of interacting with one another, of actually meeting one another across our divides, are growing even smaller. Without contact, we believe we begin to develop indifference. And indifference further erodes our sense of belonging to one another, and to our collective story. I'm not talking about any one of you, of course. You are truly committed, but we know what we are talking about. And we have to maintain our eternal nation, Am HaNetzach. At the same time, we are not doing enough to cultivate the next generation of Jewish leaders who can bear the torch of our peoplehood and infuse it with new life, keeping it relevant, vibrant, and alive. Of course, the fierce debate over Israel's direction in recent months is a striking example of the ways that alienation between different groups and polarization that festers for years become corrosive and weakens the pillars that hold our nation together. Now, the external threats we face are all known to you, in Israel and in the Jewish world, and they're all real. We are indeed a small nation of 15 million human beings amongst a sea of 8 billion human beings. Anti-Semitism and the call for Israel's destruction remain pervasive and poisonous. And still, I'm convinced that there is no greater existential threat to our people than the one that comes from within, our own polarization and alienation from one another. So, dear friends, our Jewish culture is one that celebrates the living vitality of discourse, of contact between different groups and peoples and positions, even and especially when they don't agree. It is one that recognizes that in order to grow, we need to be able to bring a genuine receptiveness to listening and learning and really hearing each other. Disagreements, rather than pushing us apart, can be the force that builds us and binds us, as we say in our origins, מחלוקת לשם שמיים שסופה להתקיים, meaning a real argument that actually strengthens us. This is the essence of the Jewish culture of Beit Midrash, the essence of our Talmudic culture of dialogue that is rich, challenging, and fertile, or chavruta, or mituta, meaning companionship that challenges us and our assumptions is basic to growth. I believe that it is only through dialogue between us that we can possibly allow our moments of crisis to turn into moments of growth. That is why I've put dialogue at the center of my term as President of the State of Israel. This I've done through my initiative, which is called Machlifim Milah, Time to Talk. We are bringing Israelis from every walk of life together to look at the tough issues, to see and hear each other. It is why, at this time of crisis, I'm insisting on internal Israeli dialogue that looks honestly at where we are divided. Today, we completed another round of talks on the judicial reform and its implications between coalition and opposition members under my auspices. These are sincere, open-hearted conversations, and I sincerely hope, and I'm working towards that direction, that we will even come out with a constitutional moment in the future. I do not live in illusions. It is difficult, it is complicated, it is painful. You've witnessed some of it in recent days, but it's definitely possible, and we have to believe in it. And it is why here tonight, I wish to insist also on dialogue within our Jewish people broadly as well. So friends, we need to find a way to start making contact between ourselves, to deepen the conversations between us, so that we can find a path back to a broad narrative that is compelling, binding, and wholesome for all of us. What I believe we need in order to get there is a place where we can come together to hear each other, a place where we can look at the most pressing matters facing the Jewish people, and where we can develop the next generation of committed Jewish leaders who will bring their gifts and their talents to preserving our precious peoplehood and the unique connection between Israel and world Jewry. What we need, friends, is therefore a global Beit Midrash. And as President of the State of Israel, with resonance throughout the Jewish world, I have personally committed myself to making this happen. At the beginning of my presidency, I asked our friends at the Jewish Agency and the World Zionist Organization to join me on a groundbreaking initiative. I'm pleased to be able to say that they came fully aboard, and I'm very grateful to them. Over the course of the past year, their talented staff and my talented staff have been working together. Jointly, we have developed a brand new initiative called Kol Ha'am, Siach Yehudi Olami, Voice of the People, the President's Initiative for Worldwide Jewish Dialogue. Its vision is to launch a first-of-its-kind global council for Jewish dialogue. You might call it a Jewish Davos. Non-partisan, apolitical, Voice of the People will be a collaborative forum, one that can hold and reflect the full and diverse range of Jewish voices. It will be a place where we can engage in serious, sensitive, and strategic discussions on the most complex and pressing issues facing our people. A place where we formulate concrete proposals and action items to address them. And most importantly, a place to cultivate the next generation of Jewish leaders. I consider this to be its most important function. We need our best and our brightest to show up on the front lines for our people in the future, to pull the resources of vision, courage, capability to help position our nation to survive and thrive. These are the building blocks on which our future world depends, and we cannot afford to neglect them. Over the next month, we will be spearheading a broad consultation process with all of you and with Jewish leaders and thinkers across the globe, as well as with the government of Israel, especially with the Ministry of Diaspora Affairs, with the minister being here, to further develop this vision so that this new platform will be optimally equipped to serve its purpose. We are delighted that prominent philanthropic actors have seen the potential in this project and will bring their capabilities and resources to the table as well. And we will make the official announcement in due course. So, guys, ladies and gentlemen, I invite you all to join us. In his iconic book, God in Search of Man, the legendary Rabbi Avraham Yehoshua Heschel, Zichro Levracha, speaks about the personal calling this moment holds for each of us in carrying forward the legacy of our nation. And he says, and I quote, "What is at stake in our lives is more than the fate of one generation. In this moment, we, the living, are Israel, the task begun by countless Jews of the past and now entrusted to us. We are the only channel of Jewish tradition, those who must hand over the entire past to the generations to come." So, my dear friends here tonight, here we are now. We too are the one living generation in this one living moment. For the sake of everything we have achieved and everything we aspire to achieve for the sake of the State of Israel and the Jewish people. Let us commit to working together, hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder, to shape our shared future and write the next chapter in the story of our great people. With 75 years of evidence of what we can do with faith, determination, and shared vision, there is no question that together we can bring new life to the story of our peoplehood. So good luck to all of us and you, and good luck to our nation. Am Yisrael Chai, happy 75th anniversary, our beloved Medinat Israel. Yom Ha'atzmaut Sameach.
Distinguished guests, at this time we wish to thank His Excellency, the President of the State of Israel, and the First Lady Michal Herzog for participating. Would the audience please stand in honor as they exit?
Israel is a center in my own mind of what it is to be Jewish and to be together with many other Jews.
My name is Sean Arison.
My name is Brooke Goldstein.
I'm Rachel.
My name is Diana.
My name is Stephanie Dahan.
Hi, my name is Isa.
My name is Bill Rackauer. I'm 103, going on 104.
So the first time in Israel was in high school on a youth group program that was for a month, and I remember just getting off the plane and like breathing the air, and it felt different.
I remember just touching down in the airport and feeling a sense of like a really special energy that I'm arriving to a country where it's for our people, and just a really special sense of belonging.
When I arrived to Israel, many people waited for me. It was very strong. Dancing and singing, and I dancing with them. I feel this is my home.
Being in Israel for the first time made me feel a sense of Jewish wholeness and peoplehood, where it was more than just like at temple or at shul. It was like, no, this is a whole people.
After I first came to Israel, I did a trip to Mitzpe Ramon. It's like something about the place, like even though it was random in middle of nowhere, like I just remember like staring at the stars at night when I went camping with my friends, and just like feeling like I was in the place I was meant to be in my life.
The first time that I came to Israel was actually on a trip called March of the Living, and we visited concentration camps in Poland, and that was obviously a very moving, a very depressing experience. After the concentration camps, however, they take the students to Israel. And I'll never forget the feeling of gratitude, the feeling of happiness, just the dichotomy between experiencing such a low and now coming to such a high made such an enormous impression on me.
I imagine it was in the late 50s or mid-50s. And I went there with my wife, Evelyn. I remember, I think it may have been in an open car, but I remember singing of songs and traveling to the north from Haifa. It was very exciting, it was very interesting to see the people who were living there and how they were living, and it was mostly an agricultural country at that time. And I don't remember any big buildings or any great features like that.
When war in Ukraine started, I needed help, and a Jewish organization helped me to go to Israel. And when I came to Israel with my young toddler, I felt safe.
It was very difficult because we don't know Hebrew, we don't know what to do, and people help us with documents. I rent apartment without nothing, and within few days I have everything I need, even more. I have a dry machine, which I never have and think that I need it, and I don't know who do it.
We really wanted to get to the Kotel, and during this trip it was a time of a war. Every few hours we were running into different bomb shelters all around the different cities that we were visiting, and it was a really interesting experience, but when we finally made it to the Kotel, after all of this back and forth, it really felt very special to put my hand on the wall and connect back with the history of the people who were fighting for Israel.
And all I knew and thought about Jerusalem as being the center of a Jewish state in any case. And so it was quite amazing and quite, well, I felt it, I should say, I felt it in my heart, yes. And I still feel that way.
And this opportunity has definitely made the most positive impact on me.
I will regret finally when I leave this world to know what really happens in Israel and hoping that it would be fine.
I'm sure that my experience here in Israel will continue to have a positive impact and hold a really great part in my heart for the rest of my life.
I was going to dedicate my career to the Jewish people, to the state of Israel, making sure that we are strong, that we are unified, and that never again is actually a reality.
הלוואי ומענן תרד עלינו קשת, הלוואי שלעולם הזה יש תקנה, הלוואי ויום יצמח מתוך סופה גועשת, הלוואי ולא תאבד לאדם מתנה,
הלוואי שלא נכאב ואיש אחיו יאהב, הלוואי ויפתחו שוב שערי גן עדן, הלוואי ויתמזגו מזרח ומערב, הלוואי, הלוואי ונחדש עלינו כאן כגדר.
שיר שסבא שר אתמול לאבא לעשות לכם טירוף. כולם תרימו את הידיים לשמיים, תמיד אתה יכול לברוח מהכל. עפנו לשמיים, חגיגה בישראל, תגיד תודה לאל שיש לנו בית. השמיים נקיים ושמש לפנים, אז תרימו לחיים. חגיגה, חגיגה, חגיגה בישראל, בישראל. אני עוד חי, חי, חי.
Thank you, Toda, to the fabulous musicians from the IDF Entertainment Troupe, Chagiga B'Yisrael. Indeed. And thank you, everyone, for joining in. Such a pleasure to see such genuine simcha all together. We saw a glimpse of the dedication and impact of your organizations on the state of Israel. Yet the variety of ways and programs through which you are actively involved in everyday life here is immeasurable. I'd like you to meet 4 people whose lives you have changed through your work and hear their real-life stories on stage. Please meet Mika, Sarah, Kevin, and Noah.
Hi, my name is Sarah Vaturi. I am married to Victor and mother of 3. But most of all, I am a grandmother to Guy, the most adorable 3 years old. I work at a Alon Group factory in Barkan industrial area in the purchasing department. Some people would say I'm a walking miracle. On Sunday, January 7th, 2018, I came to work earlier than usual. I remember I was so happy that I found a close-by parking space. As I went up the stairs to my office, I saw a person I didn't know and another person I did know. Both of them are Palestinian employees in the factory. I told them good morning and entered my office. It was a normal day and I did everything that was part of my morning routine. I brought my cheese from home and put it in the fridge. I talked to my office neighbor, Yelena, and I wrote an email to one of our suppliers. Suddenly, I heard Yelena mumbling. She was unable to answer me. When I asked her, Yelena, what happened? I thought maybe someone had fallen or got injured, and I got out the office to help. As I looked out of my office, I saw the person I met in the morning, the one I didn't know. Immediately after, I felt a strong punch that hit me in my stomach. I lost consciousness for a moment. Then, when I woke up, I quickly dragged myself into the office and got under my desk. I put my hand under my shirt and saw it was full of blood. Only then I realized that I had been shot. I heard 4 or 5 more shots a minute later. I was getting weaker and focused on my breathing. I told myself, if I keep breathing, I will stay alive. I wanted to tell you that my life didn't flash in my front of my eyes like they always say. I didn't say my goodbye to my husband and children. My mind was completely blank, empty. While hiding under the desk, I saw black sneakers approaching. It was him again, looking for me to finish the job. I knew I was about to die. In this moment, I even didn't breathe. I just waited for the bullet to finish my life. Then, few moments later, for some reason, he just left the room and ran away. The next thing I remember is that one of my colleagues came to stop the bleeding, and then the paramedics arrived. They took me to the hospital and admitted me for a CT scan. "You are very lucky," they said. "The bullet did not hit any vital organ." A few days later, I received a phone call from the Jewish Agency for Israel Fund for the victims of terror. We would like to know that you are not alone and wish to offer you some help on behalf of the Jewish communities around the world. Until the day, I had no knowledge on the work of the Jewish Agency with the victims of terror. I didn't know that they will be a huge part of my recovery. Together with a professional team, I started to figure out what will help me to cope and got financial support from the fund. I wasn't very active, so they helped me enroll the gym with my husband, go to a theater with my husband. These made me get out of the house and choose to get back to normal life. A part of my healing process, I wish to write a book about everything I went through that day and about my friends who were murdered in that attack, Kim Levengord Yecheskel and Ziv Hajbi. May they rest in peace. The Jewish Agency for Israel was there for me once again. The book I called I Really Wanted You to Know was published just a month ago and helped me heal from the post-trauma by showing people that post-trauma is nothing to be ashamed of. Yael and Hila from the agency supported me through this whole process. I can't thank them and the Jewish Agency for Israel enough. It's important for me to let you know that you are influencing people's life and helping them to keep on. There are not enough words to thank you. תודה רבה.
Hi, my name is Micaela Mizrahi Litvak. I'm 20 years old. I grew up in Tucumán, Argentina, and I felt very connected to my Judaism at a very young age. I went to a Jewish school and a Zionist youth movement, and I felt I should do something significant for Israel. Still I felt small and insignificant and kept doubting my ability to contribute. Then I heard about Geula, a new program of the World Zionist Organization, the Eidud Aliyah, that gives tools to young women from Israel and abroad and teaches them to take responsibility and become leaders, to find their own strength and inner voice in it. This program changed my life. I know that I will be a significant factor in connecting Jews in Israel with Jews in Argentina and around the world after I become a fighter in the army.
Hi, I am Keim Barishpolsky, 27 years old. I am an event producer from Argentina. In Argentina, my close friend called me the Jew. And then one day, someone who heard me, my friend, called me the Jew, asked if I want to go on daily trip, to which I was suspicious of such a generous travel proposal, but then I decided to go, and that trip changed my life. Mauro Marco Levi, my Madrid and friend, talked me about Judaism. He became my friend, my older brother, and that trip, and he got me into the Jewish community in my province. I started going to Shabbat on Fridays, doing Rikudim until I found my place in the Jewish department of Mendoza. I also volunteered at Taglit, among other activities. From Israel, Mauro told me, Israel is your home. You can always come to Israel. Israel is open for you. And in the following years, with the pandemic, it was there, and they decided to open my Aliyah file in the Jewish agency to make Aliyah. I met Aliyah on January 2022, through me the program Aliyah Mugenet, protected Aliyah special program from Keren de South, started in Argentina. I arrived to Ulpan Sion in Jerusalem, magnificent Merkaz Klita. I studied 2 semesters in the Ulpan, In the second semester, I had to go through the death of my father, which was extremely difficult process for me, but I keep going anyway. Today, under the pressure of living in this country, I dare to say that my Aliyah was completely successful, and it's all thanks for you, קרן היסוד and Jewish Agency. באמת, תודה רבה, thanks for הכל.
Hi, my name is Noah. I'm 17 years old. I was born and raised in Israel. As a child, I participated in the Youth Future program. I had many difficulties and challenges as a young girl. This was the only program that moved me. There, I met my personal mentor, Chava, who was there for me. She helped me through stress and depression and stood by me at every crossroad. Even when my parents divorced and I felt alone and without friends, she was always there for me. She strengthened me. And then, in the 11th grade, she encouraged me to try to accept it into the Young Ambassadors program, a program of the Jewish Agency, and which is supported by Keren Yesod and the Jewish Federation of North America. I was accepted into the program, which was an outstanding achievement. For a year, I grew through fascinating worlds of contact to which I was exposed. I was given tools that taught me to stand up for myself on my own, to fit and grow out of my personal factor. This program made me realize that I want to be Jewish Agency Shlicha, ambassador to the United States, and change other young people's lives the way they changed my life path. Contact them to pluralism and expand their Jewish identity. Thank you very much. תודה רבה.
Thank you.
Thank you.
תודה.
בואו.
Such moving stories. Thank you so much for sharing your personal stories and reflecting on your impact here with us. And now that we've realized the depth and impact of all of your important work around the world, it's time to zoom out and discover the scope. Drummers, are you ready? Here we go.
Since its inception, the State of Israel has been supported by the Jews of the diaspora, who joined hands in building a unique gem in the Middle East and bringing prosperity, security, and development to the people of Israel and the entire Jewish people. It's an ongoing journey, and the beat goes on.
Many thanks, drummers. That was fantastic. So, yes, they deserve it. So we covered the past and the present, but I guess we all want to know where we're headed, right? What will the next 75 years look like, and who will take us there? This is also part of your work. Your dedication to building the next generation of Jewish leaders is reflected in your actions through the different inspiring leadership programs of all 4 organizations. So, I'm sure you are as curious as I am. Let's meet the next generation.
Shalom. My name is Bar Nesia, and this is my vision for what the relations between Israel and diaspora Jewry will look like in the future. As we send shlichim abroad to teach diaspora Jewry about Israel, I want to see Jewish representatives from all over the world come to Israel to educate us about their Jewish identity. It will strengthen and consolidate our Israeli Jewish identity and strengthen the unity of the Jewish nation, shoulder to shoulder.
Thank you very much, Bar. And now, let us meet Boaz.
Hello, my name is Boaz. I was born and raised in Kibbutz Elot. It's the southest kibbutz in Israel. And after 10 years in the National Theater, I decided to move back to the south, way back to the southern tip to Eilat, where I built the Elad Theater. We established a Garin settlement, thank you, in the southwestmost tip of Israel. We're creating an alive and kicking culture, a change in education, community, innovation, and tourism content. But most importantly, we're creating hundreds of jobs and thousands of families to the south. As a first step, an international center of excellence for the performing art will establish in the coming year. As a result, the southern tip become a magnet for excellent entrepreneurship and unprecedented development. The Elad Theater is named after Elad Dan, my brother, who fell in Lebanon war in 2006. This activity became the most alive way to memorize him. Thank you.
יהיה מה שיהיה, אני עוד אשנה, אני אגשים את חלומי. נושאי בשורה רעה, מכות עוד גזרה, לא ישנו את מהותי. Let us say shalom now to Tova.
Look around you. We are the dream that came true. Jews from all over the globe living here in Israel. Three generations ago, it was only a dream. Now, it's our shared reality. Not only Jews sacrificed their life to be a part of the state of Israel. We fought shoulder to shoulder with our brothers and sisters from the Druze and Bedouin communities to build our home. We are a new generation, modern, educated, charismatic, and ambitious. And right here is where we pave our way to roles of leaderships and responsibilities in our families, communities, and at the heart of the Israeli society, by building a strong, welcoming, inspiring communities. Communities that pursue tikkun olam, strive for accountability and improvement, personal growth, and youth empowerment, to give all of us an equal opportunity to fully realize our individual potential. And now we are here, at home. And today, it's our turn to dream new dreams.
Thank you, Tova. And let us meet Amit.
Hi, I'm Amit. I'm really excited to be here, and this is how I see our future together. For me, the Jewish people are built from different communities worldwide with a huge impact on each other and a venerable strength. Regarding Israel, the importance of creating a solid bond between us all will help us to develop and improve the quality of Jewish peoplehood and make us more united no matter where we are. Thank you.
Amen. אני את והאל שלצידי עוד ננצח, לא בגלל הכוח, רק בגלל הרוח הנושבת בגבי, רק בגלל הרוח בתוכי, במוחי, בנשמתי, רק בגלל הרוח בתוכי, בדמי, בנשמתי. And ערב טוב to you, Bruno.
75 years seems like a long time, but for some issues, 75 years are not so many. These years, Israel has become a world power, but I don't mean in science or innovation. Israel became a world power in people, and this includes not only the people in Israel, but also all the people of Israel. I hope this bond will continue to strengthen on shared values of Jewish values and democratic values. I also envision a future where Israel can engage in dialogue with its neighbors as every country does, and we can finally live once and for all in peace.
Amen to that. Gracias, Bruno. And finally, let's hear from Dani.
I believe that to preserve the Jewish spirit and the unity of Israeli and diaspora Jews, we must learn how to change. We have to learn how to be different and yet united. There is no one Judaism, just like how there is no one way to be a Jew. Judaism is ever changing, ever evolving, and we must not get stuck in our own ways or close ourselves to different understandings of our traditions, past, present, and future, as Jews in Israel and outside of it. Thank you.
Thank you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, please join me in singing this eternal anthem together. Hallelujah. אתם. חזק, חזק. Hallelujah. Beautiful. One more time together. Hallelujah. 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 As loud as you can. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Thank you to our musicians, and thank you so much, Bar, Boaz, Tova, Amit, Bruno, and Dani. You and your fellow young leaders are a real inspiration and represent our hopes for the future of Israel, and we're counting on you guys to take us forward to the next 75 years. And now let's take a closer look at an even younger generation.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה
שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. Brother, there's an endless road to rediscover. Hey, sister, do you still believe in one another? Oh, if the sky comes falling down for you, there's nothing in this world I wouldn't do. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. From far from home, what if I lose it all? Oh sister, I will help you out. Oh, if the sky comes falling down for you, there's nothing in this world I wouldn't do. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. Hey brother, do you still believe in one another? Hey sister, do you still believe in love? I wonder. Whoa, if the sky comes falling down for you, there's nothing in this world I wouldn't do.
יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. Oh, if the sky comes falling down for you, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
Toda rabba, and thank you to the wonderful Roni Fishman. Isn't she adorable? And our IDF musicians. I want to call to the stage once again the heads of all four organizations to honor us by singing the national anthem on stage. Atem muzmanim, please. And now, ladies and gentlemen, an especially beautiful singing of Hatikva.
נפש יהודי הומייה, ולפת מזרח קדימה,
Thank you all for coming tonight, and we wish you much success and joy in your upcoming events this week. And Yom Ha'atzmaut Sameach Israel, Halevai.